Chase me, Susie! Chase me!
Good.
And then it brings a fourth reason why Bitcoin's haram. So revision, the first one is no value in itself. Second one, no government. Third one is volatile. Fourth one is...
الأمر الرابع أن مصدرها مجهول.
The issue of Bitcoin is unknown. Now, I don't think the Sheikh is here referring to Satoshi Nakamoto. I don't think so. Although that is mentioned by some, but I don't think that's what he mentioned. But I think he's referring to here. He's going to explain, but I think he's referring to here miners. So the miners of Bitcoin are unknown. So that would be the reason why it's haram. Let's have a look.
من الذي يصدرها؟ لا قديما ولا اليوم، مجهول.
So yeah, it's referred to miners. So in the past and today,
تقوم على عمليات يترجمونها وهي ليست ترجمة دقيقة، التعدين أو التنقيط.
So they say it's mining, but it's not a precise, accurate translation, the Sheikh says. And I know some people have said, even Bitcoiners have said, yeah, mining is probably not a good definition, but I don't think it was meant to be accurate. I think it was meant to be a taqreeb, meant to bring the concept close to your mind to make the idea of what's happening more clear for those who are uninitiated, you could say. So just like you would put effort into a mountain to mine gold, you can put effort into looking for the hash, the nonce to mine a block. Yeah, but I don't think anyone actually derives anything special from this name, mining. It doesn't mean to explain or define something. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, the Sheikh said the ones who issued the Bitcoin for mining.
وهي ليست ترجمة دقيقة للكلمة الإنجليزية، لكن هذا أقرب ما يكون، يسمونها التعدين أو التنقيط.
Yeah, so the Sheikh says it's not a good, even in English, it's not a good description of what's actually happening, but it is what it is.
فالمصدر لها مجهول.
So the source is unknown. Maybe he's talking about Satoshi here.
والأمر الخامس.
Okay, that's it. This is the fifth example. So back to the point. So again, the issuer is unknown. Now, again, this is an issue. It is a problem. It is an legitimate Islamic objection that the issue of Bitcoin is unknown. That is a problem. If it was a trusted system, if I had to trust someone that he's not counterfeiting the Bitcoin, then it is an issue. But Bitcoin is a trustless system. We don't trust miners. Miners look for the nonce, the special number, that fits the criterion set by the network. They broadcast their block that they found. And in that block, they issue to themselves the reward for that block. We as nodes receive that block. We verify, we check, is this number a valid number? If it is a valid number, I will add it to my blockchain, and that by adding it to my blockchain, the miner gets his money. So it's not that the miner tells me this is my reward and I'm issuing it. No, he says this is my solution. You check it. And once we, the collective community of people on the world planet Earth, check it and find that it is valid, only then they get the money. So it's a trustless system. They can't counterfeit Bitcoin. Bitcoin can't be counterfeited. So therefore, who they are is irrelevant. This is important. If you consider Bitcoin to be like fiat, then it is really relevant, because we need to know who is printing these dollars. Just like in real money, real world, who's printing reals, who's printing dollars, who's printing a pound. Because if they are not the government, they can counterfeit. They can print money and put it in the pocket. But if Bitcoin, no, they will just tell you, here's the block. We will check, does this nonce give the right reward? Does it give the right answer to the block? If yes, then they get the reward. But you can only get that number if you did the work. Remember, there's no way to get this number through calculation. You don't calculate anything. You just try. Try number 1, try number 2, try number 3. I try it's like having a million keys. And you try each key to the door, see which door unlocks, which key unlocks the door. Once you find the key, they say, look, here it is. I found the key. Now, if someone said to you, I found the key to unlock the door, I don't need to I don't need to believe him. I just take the key from him. I go to the door. I unlock the door. If it unlocks, then I know he's telling the truth. If it doesn't unlock, I know he's lying. So I haven't trusted him because I verified that door unlocked myself. So it's a trustless system, and his objection here is valid if his perception of Bitcoin is valid. But we can see here it's not accurate. So now we're on the
أنه يستحيل مراقبتها.
Now this is one of the most easiest thing to see how the perception is right or wrong. He says here, the Sheikh said, يستحيل, it's impossible to make muraqaba, to observe what's happening in the network. It's impossible. Don't take my word for it. Don't listen to me. Just go to www.mempool, mempool, mempool, as in it's short for memory pool. So mempool.space. That's it. It's a website. All the website does is just display the Bitcoin network in a visual manner. You can click on any block you want. You can look at any transaction you want. You look at which money comes in, which money comes out. You can see quite clearly everything that's happening on the network. The Sheikh said it's impossible to observe what's happening in the network, and I'm telling you, it's not. It's the complete opposite. It's the most transparent way of doing it. Actually, it's more transparent than gold. If I gave you a gold coin and you took that gold coin and melted it down and made another coin, there's no way of knowing where that gold came from. Gold is actually impossible to know where it comes from. And I would say that's probably a normal feature of money. How would you know where money comes from? It's a thing. I don't know where it came from. But to now make it a criterion to know where it comes from and how you spend your money, we need evidence for this. Now, I know where the Sheikh is coming from. He's saying that currently we have a way to know if there's criminal activity happening through banks and transactions and whatnot, and then you can find where the criminals are doing, what they're doing, blah, blah, blah. And the Sheikh will say that in a minute. But the point here is that with Bitcoin, that's not the case. You can see exactly.
وضبط استعمالها. لماذا؟
Yeah, and it's no way to precisely dictate how it's used. Some of that to specify how it's used.
لكونها مشفرة تشفيرا دقيقا.
Why is that? Because it's encrypted. So again, this issue of encryption, if you know how Bitcoin network works, you know what each word, where each word is used and why it's used that way. So encryption. Where does encryption come from? Or what role does encryption play in the Bitcoin network? Bitcoin works through what's called a private key, public key pair, meaning that, like when you send an email, an encrypted email, you have what's called a private key, only you have. But then there's a key which is public. Everyone can have the key. Anyone has the key. Why do you need this thing? Okay. I give everyone I talk to my public key because it's public. When they want to write an email to me privately, they use my public key to scramble the message. So no one can actually see the message anymore. Only with the private key you can unlock the message. One more time. The public key, private key pair, encryption, is used to, where a person can use a public key, to everyone can use a public key, and they can use a public key to scramble information that can only be unscrambled with the private key. So as long as you keep the private key safe, then no one can see the message unless you have the private key. How does it work in Bitcoin? So Bitcoin, we have addresses where Bitcoin goes. So I send Bitcoin to a certain address. Only the owner of the private key can sign permission to send the Bitcoin somewhere else. So if I was to broadcast a transaction, sending Bitcoin from my wallet to your wallet, and it goes to the mempool or goes to the network, there should be a signature on that key. Everyone will see, does this signature indicate that the owner of this Bitcoin gives permission? Only the owner of the private keys can give permission. So essentially, the address comes from the public key, where everyone can have, but only the private key is used to spend it. So reason why I mention this is because the encryption part of Bitcoin has nothing to do with the transaction itself, as in what's happening, where the money is coming from, where it's going. It only deals with giving permission to spend. So the idea that you can't see what's happening in the network has nothing to do with encryption. You can see exactly what's happening in the network. You see where Bitcoin comes from one address to another address. You can see it. But with the encryption part is to do with the spending part. It allows only the owner of the private key to spend it. So again, we can see here that the description of Bitcoin and the understanding of what's actually happening with the encryption is.
فمن الذي يستطيع أن
And by the way, this is not a slight against the Sheikh. How does anyone know anything? They have to learn it. Why do you expect the Sheikh, a scholar of Islamic knowledge, to be also a scholar of computer science? That's not his field. He depends on others to explain it to him, and from the explanation, if he gets it right, he'll be able to give good fatwa. It's not a slight against the Sheikh or any Sheikh. No one knows about Bitcoin until they learn about Bitcoin. No one knows about programming until they learn about programming. It's not a problem. Nor is the Sheikh a computer scientist, nor does he claim to be a computer scientist. So no one should get personal about it and say, oh, you speaking bad against the Sheikh. No, I'm not. But you must recognize that the Sheikh is not a computer scientist. Yeah, Sheikh just said, you're not able to observe what's happening. Is that the case?
وبالتالي هي مصدر للعمليات القذرة كالإرهاب.
So because you can't observe what's actually happening, it's a source of a lot of dirty activity.
والإرهابيون اليوم وجدوا فيها ملاذا لتمويلهم. لأن
And the terrorists today, they find some tastiness in using crypto or Bitcoin.
عمليات تمويل الإرهاب الآن أصبح عليها تشديد. فوجدوا في العمليات الرقمية فضاء واسعا. لأنه ما يمكن.
So using cryptocurrencies, they found basically an opportunity to use it without being, I guess, observed what they're doing. So that's why they like cryptocurrencies. But those of you who know anything about Bitcoin will know that Bitcoin is actually the worst currency to use for criminal activity. Because it's the complete opposite.
مراقبتها. وكذلك عمليات.
Because it's not possible to observe what's happening in
غسيل الأموال القذرة.
And also money laundering. Or laundering dirty money.
هي فضاء رحب للعمليات القذرة.
It's a platform for people to launder money. Now, again, fairness, if one wants to be fair, I could say that it is a lot more easier to launder money using gold. Because there's no way to trace where gold comes from. Once you melt it down and recast it, it is what it is. Now, I may ask where your gold comes from. And you say, yeah, I just got it from this other guy. I mean, there's no way of knowing. So if one wants to say that the ability to transact privately is a reason for prohibition, then that must dictate by necessity that gold and silver must be prohibited, because there's no way of knowing where gold and silver comes from.